me. Generals gathered in their masses. Get out of the way.
Hello and welcome to Office Hours with Amber. I'm Amber and this is Office Hours Season 2 with Engineering Improv. I'm a little tired today, guys, but we have a lot of things ahead of us, and you might notice that the audio might be working. Let's find out. Hello. Okay, good enough. You might notice that this Engineering Improv already has a title. Crazy idea. What I recognized, you know when you start a new job and you're starting to figure out where the break room is and where do you get office supplies and who puts fish in the microwave and what's the etiquette, or like what's the bathroom etiquette? You know what I mean? Like when you're starting to get used to a new workplace. Well, I started working from home more often and I'm still getting used to what does my day look like? And so I've been leaning into a lot of my old systems. I've been trying to recreate new systems, and I've been kind of floundering between all of my organizational systems. So today I'm going back to basics because I would love to add new things to the pot and like start piling things on top and like just pushing forward. But I think this is a good thing for everyone at some point to do. So to describe, let me maybe be a little less... yeah, there we go. Oh, good, crazy. To kind of describe it a little better, my normal process used to look like was I would, throughout the week, get all of my kind of paper notes. And at the end of the week, usually on Sundays, I have this ritual of kind of 5S'ing my whole life. And we'll talk a little bit more about what 5S'ing means. But kind of just like cleaning things up and putting things in correct places. And there's a lot going on in my brain all the time. So I have to kind of lean into categorically where things go to make sure that I'm not losing things. And so now I've got all of this. And these are all notes I've been taking during meetings. And those notes could be full of action items and targets and goals and notes and don't forgets and all sorts of stuff like that. And I wouldn't know. Well, I do know. I have been taking notes, but last week, or rather to paint the picture a little better, last week I was a little busy. I ended up presenting at the Institute of Industrial and Systems Engineers conference for the Great Lakes region, which was so delicious and fun. If you're coming from LinkedIn or if you're coming from YouTube or if you're coming from that conference, hi, so nice meeting you there. I got to present about the idea, and my microphone keeps saying that I'm overblowing. So if my mic sounds like a little crazy, just you let me know. Anyways, so preparing for presentations, I tend to put everything else on the back burner and I get really behind really quickly. So today I want to this is the beginning, kind of showing you an inside look on how my brain creates the backlog that we use for Engineering Improv. And so I encourage... Thank you, Eric. So glad you're here and so glad that my audio is turning out great. This is Wonderful news. Because like when you see all the monitors and everything, it's just kind of like red, 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 red. And I'm like, oh, okay. Anyways, so today is going to be kind of me showing you how I mentally compartmentalize projects, goals, tasks. And I think I've had a pretty tough time delineating those three things in the past. So the reason things become backlog tasks is because it's too big of an idea to accomplish today. And that if there's ever one thing that I wish I could solve, or wish that one thing that I plan to experiment and develop, is the skill to task things instead of putting projects on my task list. And sometimes it makes sense why projects end up on the task list. And that's because you have an idea of like, oh, that'd be really interesting if I could research this thing. Or like, I think a new CRM would be interesting. But if it's a fleeting thought, you're not going to take the time to go through and task out every single thing. But that begs the question of like, okay, with the current backlog I have a lot of mixed things. So this is the moment to kind of 5S all of it. So we're going to be going between some of my other methods, but what I'm recognizing is I've had a lot of issues with task initiation because there's so many pressing tasks on these papers that I don't think live in my digital backlog, like my digital task planner. And so who knows? Like, you know what I mean? Like when you're in the middle of kind of this great big pile, it's tough to see your way out sometimes. So this is basically a body double session of you coming along with me to show you how my brain works and compartmentalizes things. I think I've said the same thing 6 times. Who could be sure? Speaking of which, I'm going to take my sensu beans because we need all the help we can get today. Oh, I didn't take it properly. Oh. I'm such a child when it comes to pills. I never swallow them properly. Okay. Back on subject. Last Friday, I got to reconnect with a bunch of Western alumni. So fun. It's so nice to see how we've all kind of skeetered off into so many different directions, but we're all basically at the same place of data-driven decision making and using the industrial engineering skills to be able to be problem solvers. Like that's the whole thing, which is so fun. And then I got to present at the conference to a bunch of different college students across the region. So fun. And it's kind of nice and heartwarming to talk to people that like actually benefit from the advice you give. Because I think with the Excel conference, I was talking to a room full of people that could take me or leave me. Like I was neither here nor there for them. But it's nice talking to college students that like actually get a lot out of hearing your experience and like what to kind of super worry about and what not to super worried about. So that was nice. If I provided you any sense of ease, a job well done to me. Okay, let's talk about some stuff. So really, it's going to be the next hour is going to be body doubling, me going through my physical stack, but I'm going to talk you through my process first because I think that's going to make a little bit more sense. But let's do it. Okie dokie. Okay, so before we get started, I kind of want to go over this idea of 5S because I kind of use 5S as a synonym with cleaning. Sort, set, shine, standardize, sustain. So sort, basically imagine you are taking everything out of that junk closet that you haven't used in or you haven't really looked into. You just keep shoving things in there. This is the process you would follow to be able to clean out that junk closet. And so what I think right now is because I've been kind of traveling and I've created a lot of excuses for myself over the last few months. And so today's the day to 5S my digital, my entire digital task project and goals list because it's time. So anyways, basically that's where you pull everything out and you put it into kind of similar categories. I keep bumping this. Similar categories. Set is kind of like making sure that wherever you plan to put it, like if you're creating folder structure or if you're creating email folder structure, or if you have like different, like for instance, I just got this physical folder system And so that would be the circumstance of like putting labels on all of these different tabs to make sure that I'm not going to be accidentally using the wrong ones. Shine is like keeping everything swept and clean for inspection safeties. Okay, so this is more so around like a manufacturing environment, but more so this is where you're like cleaning out all of the garbage. So when you're sorting, you could technically be you're doing a lot of discarding here, but when you go to shine, that's where you're really being kind of hypercritical of like, does this live here or does it need kind of to be set in a different place? Or, and I'm not explaining any of this very well. Standardize is, and this is where the rest of the last two of the S's often don't get much love. And that is why we have to do big resets like today, because I haven't standardized or sustained much of this. And that happens a lot with a lot of growing businesses because you get a new client type or you get a new category of things, and that doesn't quite fit the mold of what you've been doing already. And so that's where oftentimes I have to do kind of quarterly resets with my 5S to make sure that what I'm doing actually encompasses all of it. I digress. So the other thing about that is I would say there's kind of three primary buckets of 5S that amount to my mental being clean. And this is really just like mental clarity. You could say either 5S or hygiene, like, and is that how you spell hygiene? Nope. Yeah, that's how you spell hygiene, huh? Never got it on the first try. So what I would go through with these three things is, well, kind of, let's get real. Let me give myself a little space to breathe. Okay. Let's make that bigger. Also, I'm pretty much going to be nonverbal for a while, so just put on some music, have a good time. Don't you worry. It's going to be great. Side note, what did we get up to this weekend? Eric, how are you feeling? Still sick, not horrible. Okay, we'll take it. We will take it. Okay. So in this whole pile, really what my process is like, and I even wrote it on my sticky note today, is like clearing out all paper from my desk. Then I move on to clearing out all of my emails from my 4 email accounts, which I won't do on stream today because it's just going to be a lot of spam and other nonsense, but I'll kind of talk about the methodology. And then I go into my digital 5S, which is kind of the conglomeration of the last two, but adding other things and kind of cleaning up other things. But we'll talk about that as we go. So essentially with physical 5S, with every one of these pieces of paper, and I think I'll probably put this here. There we go. So what I'll do is I will read this note, and as I actually, this is the right order. I'll start typing these into OneNote. And the nice thing about OneNote, and Ashley Roberts was the one that told me this, you can like index all the way inside of the PDFs or like the files that you put inside of a OneNote. You can control F and index anything out of there. So I like using OneNote just to be able to search through every note I've ever had ever. And I do that because I kind of have, I would not say a photographic memory, but I remember if I've taken a note with my hand or if I've typed it, I know it exists. And I often have trouble going and finding what document it lives in. So being able to look through an entire notebook, OneNote, especially because I'm only one person, oh, delish. So what I'll do is I'll start typing. And as I'm doing that, that will jog my memory. And usually what I'll do is I'll leave a little star on my like physical notes if that's an action item. And then the action items go into my task log. So if it's for Good Trade Depot, it'll go into the Good Trade Depot action log, especially if it's not an action item for me, which I try to immediately put in there because if it's not for me, they need to know that they need to do it. So sometimes I'm pretty bad about that though. And I'm trying to get better. And that is why I'm trying to lean into my own system. So I'll start putting things from the physical note into OneNote. As I go through, I will pull out action items and put them into some sort of digital backlog, which is going to be like my Airtable action logs, which I've been really liking lately. Sometimes I end up putting them in Excel, and then we have too many places going on. And then once that's done, I will put it in the trash. Voila, so fun. So similarly, for my email, ah, similarly, okay. So how I interact with my emails, and then obviously times 4. How I interact with my emails is when I'm going through, I will also how I will interact with this is let me turn my silence on. Okay, my brain. Organized by conversation, earliest to latest received. So what I do traditionally and really it's nice to like write this all out because then like the next time I'm feeling overwhelmed like this, I'm just gonna watch my own video because sometimes we tend to forget our own great ideas. Okay, so this is kind of like email 5S 101 for me, and that's just how I teach most of the girls on my team. So basically, I organize all of my emails by conversation earliest to latest. So then the newest thing is at the top of the inbox. When I'm doing my 5S, like usually when I go to like clean out all my inboxes, I'll scroll to the very bottom and review each email through these filters. So if it's spam, gets deleted. Delete. If it's an action item, like something I need to do, I won't do it in that very moment unless it's like a 3-second response. Then I'll go ahead and answer it, but I'll usually mark it. Or if it's not an action item and I just need to read it and like understand something about it, what I'll do is I'll move it to a reviewed folder. The reason this is important is because, and let me see, I can show you an example. Let's see. Not super helpful to look at. Let me see if my Gmail's got some. There's too many things. But basically, by organizing your emails this way, then the bottom left-hand corner of at least Outlook, it says how many items are in your inbox, which tells me how many open action items I have. I don't take the time to take the emails out of there and put it into my task list because I would know if they're completed or not if they're in the inbox. And so right now, all of my emails are like in desperate need of a little digital 5S. So, yeah. Okay. And then from there, so these are like, this will clear up a lot of mental space before I even touch like a digital task list. Traditionally, I only put things in the digital task list, like my task list, if it's something that like I can't accomplish in a week, because otherwise it goes back to a piece of paper. So, and this is a horrific example, but it's kind of like everything I should have done before vacation, and then I should have done on vacation, and then I should have done when I got back from vacation. So right now we are in the middle of it. So I digress. That's key number one. And then when I come back through for like the digital 5S, and let's move some stuff around. Oops. And I apologize if this is so boring, but I encourage you to clean out your digital, physical, and email backlogs while we're sitting here. Because most of the things that make it to the digital backlog in my world are not like like a lot of my life, I don't have due dates. It's more of like when you get around to it is when it's due. I have a lot of like amorphous gray architectural systemic, like I don't have tasks. I have like thoughts that need more thinking or like need more detail. Like, so it's tough for me to put due dates on things because I don't think I've ever respected a due unless something's like a critical, like let's say I have an appointment with a with my sales coach. Let's say I had an appointment with my sales coach and there's a certain number of things I needed to do before that appointment. Yes, there's a due date attached to that. But that's already got a level of urgency that I'm already going to be on it within reason. We know me. um so that's where I would suggest if you respect due dates and you respect priorities, absolutely utilize those two columns in any kind of task manager to make sure that those are getting done first. For me, when everything, and I want to say this like full chest, if everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority. If everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority. And I'm gonna repeat the other statement of you must chase one chicken at a time if you intend to catch it. I think those are probably my two best words of wisdom. Is a lot of times when you go to mark on like a task list of like, oh, I need to do this today and this today and this today. Oftentimes, if you mark everything as a today problem, then nothing's a today problem, which is my biggest problem because there's so many. It's like I have so many 15-minute tasks that it feels impossible to do any of them. So, okay, we'll put those down here. Okay, so I usually sort it by created date because usually it's nice for me to see the newer ideas I've had and how they kind of interact with the older ones, but I'll put or priority because really I should be more diligent about using my priority columns as like a real thing and reviewing my digital task list every day. Whatever. Okay. In those, first, you would review, add any tasks from paper, action items. If you haven't already. Which usually I would do right as soon as I'm doing it because otherwise I'll forget. Review task statuses. So when you go through, obviously, if you didn't, I'm not the type that when I complete a task, I immediately go into my task manager and like mark it complete. Unless I'm like extremely overwhelmed and then I'm like, wow, I need the validation of this little gold star today, which sometimes happens, but I often don't. So usually when I come to review the task manager the next day, I'll go through and clean all of those out. Build an environment where the chickens come to you. Man, that would be great if I could do that. That would be really nice. And that is where, like, I mean, a lot of the systems that I create do encourage the chickens to calm down a little bit. It's kind of like the beekeeper with the smoke where they like kind of smoke out the bees. That is me with my processes, is it makes all the tasks almost doable. If everything is a priority, then a break should be the priority. Bars. Harry, you're spitting some bars today. I agree. Problem is I've taken too long of a break and I'm rested, and so now I'm like finally energized and like excited to like clean stuff up. Okay. I'm chatting. Okay, reviewing all the tasks and then reviewing priorities on the tasks. Today, this week, scheduled, backlog. I think that's the best way to kind of prioritize or to categorically say the priority, because today means like must happen like today. And I'm meaning that like you should have one, maybe two todays. And I often give myself 7 and then I do none of them. So today becomes this week, and that's not realistic. So, this week is like things that I would love to accomplish before Friday night. Again, if you have 1 to 2 today problems, you can only have about 6 to 7 this week issues. Scheduled means I need this to happen within the month, which means I work through time blocking. So like if something has to happen, if it's not on the calendar, it's not happening. And so that happens a lot with, and sometimes even when it's on the calendar, it doesn't happen, but you have an exponentially higher chance of actually doing that thing if it's on the calendar. Why does Office Hours of the Amber happen? Because it's on my calendar every day, every Monday at 7 p.m. You think if I had to make the decision each week of, oh, maybe I should do it, or maybe I could move it to this time, or maybe I should do it to this time. No chance. Zero chance I'm doing it. And then backlog is stuff that like is not on direct priority. It's not happening this week. It's kind of scheduled far out. So when you get the chance to do it. And that is what engineering improv is about, is working through the backlog. But right now, my backlog looks a lot like my front log and my like it looks like when your task list and your projects and your goals, because 2025 is over, I've already achieved a lot of those goals. So now we're in a place where like, okay, well, it's 2026. I need for real written down statement goals and how those break into projects. And in those projects, there are tasks. So like, for instance, there's like the sales project that I have. There's the Excel projects. There's the video creation and the website. Like there's all these like sub compartments of projects. And I would love to be able to focus on one project each month and have those tasks come out. I digress. Harry discovered relaxing lo-fi girl synthwave channel. New work. Lo-fi girl. Oh, you better believe me and her besties this whole time. Iconic. Creating an ergonomic situation where you encourage yourself to do stuff, which is good. Thank you. Speaking of things to listen to while you're working, I would say, whoa, I'm going to let this ad play and then I'm going to show you this. If you have headphones or like noise canceling headphones, I will say, and like shield your ears, it might be a little loud. It's called Lower Your Cortisol Levels, Solfeggio Frequency. I'm gonna put it in the chat because this is my favorite thing to work to. And yeah, here we go. It's like, this is like what Ritalin feels like when you take it for the first time. It literally feels like your whole brain is like quiet and like consumed, you know? I don't think you're going to get all of it from this, but there's like this humming in the background. Yeah, anyways, not important. But yeah, working with that like whether I have medication or not clears it out. Okay. Okay. So now you've seen kind of my process. So every time I go to sit down, like every Sunday, I'm doing this process and it looks a little crazy, but once you get into kind of the muscle memory of it, it's really not so bad. But that is what encourages like pretty clear, like pretty solid mental clarity for me, because then I have a full review of everything that I've ever needed to do or ever wanted to do or anything. And then I can make active choices of what am I going to do. Because lately I've just been like, as a fire comes up, I like take it out, which is not a good way of using my time. A more extreme version is storing the TV remote under the vacuum cleaner. I don't know what you mean by that, Harry, but I'm with you, I think. Okay. Let's see. What am I going to do next? Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is, so what I did is I basically took all of my digital backlogs from everywhere. And these aren't all tasks for me. Those are just tasks from everywhere. Tasks in like the warehouse for Good Trade Depot, tasks for like everywhere, everything. This beginning part is all of my peachy profitability tasks, all of my backlog, and then everything else is like Good Trade Depot related. But they got a lot of stuff going on. Ashley, oh my gosh, hello. So I wanted to show you a little bit of how I separate out. Let me move that up here. Put that down there. Doot, 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 doot. Let me live. Why is there... What? I'm confused. Why? That shouldn't be like that. Doesn't matter. Home ergonomics. Oh, I see. Okay, so a lot of times what'll happen is you'll have, so there's kind of two folds of this. Whoops. Where's my group button? What? Is my group button gone? Am I having a stroke? Group. Oh my gosh. What was the hotkey for that? Shift Alt right. Wait. Shift Alt right. Oh, I was doing Alt Shift right, which still works. How dare you? Okay. Anyways, first step. There we go. That's right. The first step is, and usually most people won't have to do company and department. Really what you could do is like, what is my goal? If you have multiple, what are the projects that might take the goal, like might lead towards the goal happening? And then what are the tasks associated with that project? Now you can go in either direction. So for instance, quarterly taxes routine. Mother of Christ. Quarterly taxes routine. That would be inside of like my finance project for the goal of profitability. Or rather, it could be that, or it still falls into finance. It might be under like some sort of legal, like things you have to do or compliance or whatever. But, and I would say this actually falls into falls into finance. We're not overcomplicating it. So you can either you can go top down or bottom up. And so I already have a gazillion ideas of things that I want to do. So really what ends up happening is as I'm going through, I'm like, okay, well, I'll kind of jump around of like, okay, what mapping sales process, for instance, what goal does that help with? Eventually profitability. But that project falls into like a sales subsect project. So taxes don't really have anything to do with sales. And so that's how you can kind of compartmentalize those out. But similarly, I've got now Peachy Profitability, which we are going to call PP, and we're going to be adults about it. And then department, this is more useful for like Good Trade Depot. And so that's where you might have the warehouse department that has multiple different, like outbound, like e-commerce projects versus client portals. Versus, whereas I only have one department, me, party of one. So that's how I would, if you've never done this before and you have a gazillion tasks all over the place and you want to start kind of like putting them into categories. I think this is also probably a pretty good ChatGPT question or a Claude question. I'm transformed. I am now a Claude girl. Me and Claudia, best of friends. This is a great AI question because when you get in the middle of this and you have hundreds of tasks and hundreds of things and there's just all these little details, that's when it can decrease the cognitive load to just say, hey, based on your best idea of what the fuck I'm trying to say here, what categories, projects, and goals do you think these lead to? And of course, sometimes you'll need to give it a little bit more information on like what you mean by, like, I have a task called 2025 5200 PowerPoint. I know that means that I've been invited to be a presenter for this 5200 class at Western each year. And I wasn't invited this year, but I want to do a PowerPoint still because I like the exercise. It's not going to be able to pick up those details depending on the hieroglyphics that you're giving it. But similarly, it's a very long, painstaking process to go through all of the backlog. But I've already kind of by setting up your columns in your whatever you choose to subscribe to. I've been in Airtable quite a bit, and I'll show you what that looks like. You could do this in Excel, you could do this anywhere, but... And she's not pretty. Let me get so clear about that. Let me slide some stuff around so it's actually useful. Okay, for instance, so when you're in here, I've got all these action items I could possibly do, and then you can put kind of categories on top of it when you kind of start to put those together. So then if you're like, okay, today I'm only focusing on Excel stuff, you can quickly filter that. Similarly, if you're watching this and I have not shipped you your sparkly shoes from the Excel conference, I know. It's been a today problem for me since December 4th. That's how out of date these task lists desperately need worked on. So Diana and Jeremy, Aurelio, and Jeremy's daughter. So many shoes coming your way. Do you find Claude is clean and minimalistic versus ChatGPT more verbose? Confirm edge cases focused. I've been trying to, I think Claude is definitely cleaner, but I've been having a little bit, they still do that thing where you go, hey, I think this thing you said to me is wrong, or I asked you a very specific question and you're still answering the question from multiple, like I'll say like, forget everything I've told you. Like I was trying to write a bio for myself earlier for an upcoming podcast interview. Yeah, your girl's getting invited to podcasts. So funny. Who gives me the internet? Anyways, I was trying to create a bio and I said, don't just copy and paste what I give you. Please use your best judgment on all this stuff. And then it just kind of gave me exactly what I gave it. And I'm like, so what I've been liking about Claude lately is that it has the ability to, the fact that it's in Excel and PowerPoint, and then similarly, it helped me like outline a lot of, it was really good at making like some kind of design choices that I wouldn't have. Like it doesn't have real generative AI except for like it created a few files like for me. And so it's nice to get a little few ideas off of it. I think once I get into Cowork and Claude Code and all of that and actually test it more and get more into it, I'll have better words of wisdom. AI, like all of them lately have been like they answer the question, but I'm always hyper skeptical. I feel like there was like 2 months at the very beginning where I was like, wow, this is like really new stuff. And then lately it does really cool stuff. But what I like about Claude lately is that if you ask it questions, like if I ask me 5 or 6 questions about this, it's been offering multiple choice responses. And so it's helping kind of, you don't have to type so many answers out. Like wondering what it's looking for. Like it gives you like, it prompts you for a few more like details, which I don't think is even helpful the way I'm saying it right now, but I've been enjoying Claude and the fact that, I don't know, there's just been a lot of news about ChatGPT creating ads and stuff. And I'm like, I couldn't be bothered. And it's just, it tiptoes so close between like the free and the paid version and like the security reasons. I get nervous. I get nervous about all security things, but I digress. This is a nice thing when you can just drop in a full list of stuff and then say, how would you compartmentalize this? I wouldn't take it too seriously. I just like to get kind of its first pass of ideas. And then you can also ask it to do it in grid format or give it back into an like a CSV or an Excel sheet. Because then you don't have to write it all out because I just can't be bothered. Also, this is a mug that my sister got me, rocking the dog mom and ant life. How they make this hyper specific, I think they just understand that a lot of the ants don't have children. I'm drinking Night Shift, if anyone was wondering. But anyways, funny thing about this is there's things in here that are all the way back from like the beginning of 2025. And I just want to keep, yeah. Okay. So what I need to do, and this is where it's going to be kind of boring for everyone because I'm just going to start going through this and making sure that it exists in all of my backlogs, or like it basically following my own process. So I'm going to be moving things to OneNote and action items and the trash. Oops. Also, side note, for people who interact with business cards a lot, I started using Airtable to enter all of my business cards so that I can attach, because usually if I get a business card, it's like the potential that they might be a client eventually. And what I've noticed is that it's nice to have their emails in there, but for phone numbers, I need to I wish there was like an automated way, which there probably is. And I know you guys are going to clock me if there is an automated way to get their phone, like put their phone numbers in my phone and then also put their emails in my Airtable. And then also, and there might be just like maybe it's like an Outlook contact that can like automate in there. I don't know. The other thing I like to do is organize my papers by size, because then it feels kind of like you're building the momentum, like going through mail first, like the easy stuff. There's also kind of two piles of things that need research. Like, for instance, if anyone has their own, like their favorite credit card or favorite business credit card or favorite personal credit card that they get the best points on or something, I'm looking to switch, trying to shop. If anyone has any ideas, I'd love to hear. Okay. Okay. I need to get serious. I don't know if you guys do this too, where if my seat is reclined at a certain angle, I'm chilling. Now, once I get off of the live stream, I'll probably go back to chilling like complete Stephen Hawking. But like and I think that's insensitive for me to say, and I apologize. But anyways, that's when I go into my full tech brain is like just fully lounged out. But right now I'm like, oh, I have to focus. Like I need to get this done. So we're gonna sit up just a little bit. Oof. Shield your ears. I never know if this is gonna like make noise when it moves. Ooh. Okay, we're getting serious. We're sitting up. Oh yeah. Oh Jesus. Zoom her out a little bit. Room to breathe. Side note, do we think that my trophy shelf is getting a little out of hand? Does it distract from what's going on, or does it make me look human? Because I'm part of the 5S process of like what I've been doing, like digitally, physically, emailed, and all of that is my house. I'm starting to look around and be like, what if we threw it all away and that we just throw all the trash away and we don't have anything in our house and it's just very sterile in here? I go through these pack rat eras where I just collect things and then I toss everything. So, if we'd like to do a trophy shelf giveaway, we could also do that, because I'm much better at shipping things I already have than, yeah. Amber has so many trophies, she can't stop winning. We can't take it anymore. She just keeps winning. That's so funny. Oh. Tried Claude Code, and it's not ready for our stuff yet, both on data safety side and building side. Claude and Excel right now is modeling as GPT-4 is coding. Puts the timeline at 3 years, extrapolated rate. Agreed. I don't like sometimes, a lot of times I use it for like general structural vibe. Like just like inspiration of like what rows columns and like how it would do it. And then I'm like, nah, I'm confident in my own abilities. So anyways. Anyways. Okay. Actually, what I'm going to do, the last thing I want to show you is, and I have two thoughts. two thoughts. With the last 2-3 weeks of engineering improv, I've been starting a lot of projects, but not really finishing them. So I'm thinking there's two parts of my brain, and I'd love your feedback. Part one, the first thought I have is it would be really good for me if I took the engineering improv as the spark and I completed the task before I came back for the next week. And then I show you the results of completing that task as like an accountability system, because right now I'm like starting a bunch of stuff and I could see myself never coming back around to it. So I'm nervous about that. And it would actually clear my backlog out faster. Two is the whole essence of engineering improv is to give myself 1 hour to start something. And if I don't want to keep going, wasn't the vibe. I think as I said it, I think I know what the answer is. And I think, okay, follow up is if the task that I pull on the engineering improv next week or the week over week is more of a project, then the first section of the first hour during engineering improv is just going for it and trying to create some sort of something. But at the end of that hour, I have to break it down into its subtasks that are still remaining to be completed so that they can go into the circular pile that can be spun in the future weeks. But I can at least close one part of it out for the week that we did. I think that's what I'm going to do because I feel like there's a lot of things are drifting. Okay. Claude and ChatGPT find different coding problems for me. I do use different ones for different tasks. Absolutely. Some work, neither are helpful if the problems are too domain specific enough. I feel that. I like accountability system. Another accountability system. Amber has to eat chili every time she doesn't do the task and she's holding herself accountable for. Joke's on you. I can eat chili all day long, every day, all the time. Don't have to tell me twice. The funny thing is, okay, some side thing to know about me is that I'm not a soup girl. I am like a chili girl. Like that sounds really horrible to say. I was talking about it with my girl Bridge, and so we realized that we love a bean, we love a meat, we love a sauce, a noodle perhaps. Well, they don't have noodles. Chili noodle. But what I've been doing lately is this like fuck ass taco goulash. I don't know if you're familiar with goulash in your neck of the world, but goulash. So goulash, okay, is normally a Hungarian soup. And it usually has like a whole, I didn't know it had potatoes in it. This is really revolutionary stuff. Anyways, it normally looks like this. Come on, let me in. Yeah, normally a noodle, a meat. There's no beans in here, but we can make it work. And then like a little sauce and some other stuff. Now, I have the idea of taco goulash. So what I've been doing really, and like this is way too much cheese. You don't need all that. Like I'm making it without cheese. But yeah, basically meat, tomato, noodle, sauce. And so I've been really messing around with that lately, but throwing like black beans or pinto beans in there. Oof. So when you talk, you're talking about a chili pepper. Amber can't read, and that's okay. Yeah, no, that shall not be happening. See, that's the revert, like the idea of a punishment as a way to get me to do something. I'm kind of like a dog. Only positive reinforcement works. Otherwise, I bite my owner like that. And I am my owner. So unfortunately, it's just a lot of like internal dynamics. But anyways, the last thing I wanted to talk about. Yes. Okay. Let's do it. Okay. So prioritization. This is big too, because a lot of times there are not very clear cut deadline, especially when you're getting into like what kind of stuff I do is nothing is ever a day-to-day problem, but it's stuff that like if it wasn't focused on, like eventually the business will outgrow and like it'll get worse and stickier and blah. So like I have to find ways to assign prioritization without having clear definable things. So what I do is, for instance, let's take just these three. Sales. Sales. Oops. And we don't need those right now. So let's just wrap them up. Okay, so if you have these 4 items inside of like sales, you're like, okay, well, which one do I do first? So that's where you can assess by these individual things: cost to do, complexity to do, or time to complete, benefit of doing, consequence of not doing, the desire to do it, and then add those all up gives you your factored score. So for instance, the cost to do my taxes, I don't know, is like, I think to file them is free for the quarterly. So in terms of high versus low, it's a low, you can create your own measurement scales, 1 to 10, 1 to 3, whatever. But you want the number, your priority number, to be the highest possible, and you'll sort based on that. So with these, the cost to do this in this scale is low. So, which I don't think I explained very well at all. But basically, low is a better outcome for cost. And for doing this, the cost is very low. The complexity to do, I would say, is a 2, because it takes a lot of time for me to categorize this. But that's where then, while you're prioritizing this, you could say, this is inside of that project. So you could say categorization of transactions is actually something that I need to focus on. It's a subtask because quarterly taxes routine is a project. So really, the project is tax routine. The task is categorization of transactions, submitting, what is it? Schedule C, sending money to Gov, whatever. You can see how the projects, as you're starting to work through these, you can start to categorize them into projects of like, I need to sharpen up my tax routine or my financial routine or whatever. I'm going to undo that because really the finance routine is what I really need to do. And then I could say, probably leaving notes for like subtasks. Okay. Benefit of doing. I would say I don't get a lot of benefit other than being able to manage my cash flow tighter. So I'm going to say 1. Consequence of not doing, pretty high. And the sparkle factor to do it, pretty low. So, and I put that because when you start to put the motivation there on like things you actually want to do, it's easier to keep the momentum going. Map out sales process. Cost to do, nothing. I'm going to do this quick example so you can see what I'm talking about. Cost to do, low. The complexity to do, kind of high. Benefit of doing, high. Consequence of not doing, mid. Sparkle factor, 1. I'm not interested. Document lead generator, lead management process. That is very similar to this one. And the nice thing is while you're going through, this is actually a subtask of that. So registry for business funding goals. Okay, so I types in 1. Registry for business. So I think it's kind of a cute idea to have like, because I never intend on having kids, having a registry for my business, I think would be cute. Like kind of like, oh, trying to fund my way to this trip, or like have not like a GoFundMe, but like kind of like if there was little funding goals I was trying to meet. And obviously it would be like much more good for the universe if I send it all to charity. But in this moment, your girl's poor. And so it'd be nice to like be able to like create like a registry. So I'm really doing it for my birthday. So because gets to celebrate children and like weddings and all of this stuff. And I'm like chronically single, chronically never having children. So it's like I will never have the opportunity to be showered with gifts for this thing. And so I feel like we should have business showers or something like where people can give you like staplers and filing cabinets or something. So I don't know. I've been thinking about it, but I also, every time I go to think about it, I'm like, no, that I'm a jerk. Like nobody has any money like that. Why would you even ask? But then I'm like, wait, if you don't ask, the answer is no. So what's the worst that could happen if you have like an Amazon registry or like something, a registry of just like, here, if you wanted to potentially get me a birthday gift or a business gift, this is what I would want. Because a lot of times when people go to give gifts, they like don't know what you want. So then they get you some nonsense and it's like very kind and I love gifts, but I also have a backlog of things that would be really nice. But anyways, the cost to do would be low. The complexity to do would be low. The benefit of doing could only be beneficial. The consequence of not doing is very low. And the spark factor, I think it'd be fun. So although, is this going to drive the most benefit for my business? Who could be sure? But it might be actually like leaning towards what priorities actually might be accomplished. And in this as well, let's say, for instance, you're like, all of your most of the tasks I do are never incur fees because I've never been given a budget to spend for any job I've ever been a part of ever. I've always operated under the idea we have $0. And so I've never, especially for everything I do, I try to make it so that it doesn't require a financial investment outside of like $20 per month for a Microsoft license. Which you'll be so proud of me. I finally canceled my Power Automate Power Apps license that I haven't used in a year, and it's just been charging me $20 a month, and I just never looked. Anyways, the final act of all of this is what you can do. Control-Shift-L to make this a short sortable list. You can just sort this based on largest to smallest, and that'll tell you, hey, this is the thing that you're probably going to be able to prioritize most quickly. And you would do that with everything in all of your task lists. Similarly, if you have a bunch of things inside of projects, you can then sum up all of your priorities inside of there. And then the project with the most priority numbers, if you add all the numbers of that the group together, that's going to tell you what project you should focus on first. I don't really know if any of what I've said in the last hour is helpful for anyone, but this is the process that I'm going to be following for the next week. And then next week on Office Hours with Amber, Engineering Improv, I'm going to be showing you the result of cleaning up my entire digital backlog and all of my physical papers. But hope that was helpful. Harry, Ashley, Eric, thank you guys so much for being here. Hope to see you next week. I'm going to go hang out in the Discord channel. And I try to like roll into like about to turn off the stream so that if it randomly shuts off, no one's alarmed. Okay. Bye. Ooh.